Alright guys, so I want to talk to you all about something that I love to do when it comes to fishing tournaments. It's something that I've been successful with in the past, and that is fishing offshore grass. You know, a lot of places in Florida, upstate New York, the Great Lakes, we have these massive grass flats, and there's just grass everywhere. And it gets a little overwhelming for a lot of people, and it's hard to break down, and it tends to scare a lot of people away. But it shouldn't, because when you find them, it can be one of the funnest things ever, and you can have some of the most amazing results ever. So today we're gonna dive in, and I'm gonna try and share with you all how I break it down. Alright guys, so today we're breaking it down in the grass. For this particular example, we're in Florida. We're in a lake and there's grass everywhere. Where do you begin to look? It can be overwhelming, and it can be a lot of times, you can waste a lot of time. Putting your trolling motor down and just starting to fish, you can find them that way, but there's a lot more efficient ways to go about finding these fish. And what we're about to do, I'm going to show you, is been the most effective way for me, and it's actually you're graphing while you're on plane. Not too fast. 25 to 30 miles an hour is enough for your 2D sonar to read. And you'll see here in a moment how I have this set up. I have my map, split screen with my 2D sonar. That's very important. You can see your contours and your breaks and your shallower water, but keeping your eye on that 2D is very important because we're looking for a little particular something in the grass. If there's not a lot of grass, you want to keep an eye out for the patches, and you want to mark every patch. However, if it's a ton of grass, we're looking for sparser areas and holes and edges and where it may tail out. So we're going to jump up on pad here. In this particular area, there's not a ton of grass, so what we're going to do is we're going to look for what grass is there. And then as we move a little bit more south, there's going to be a lot more grass, so that's when we're going to start looking for edges, holes, little breaks in it, and we're going to do a lot of zigzagging. That's what it's all about. And what we're going to do is while we're zigzagging, we're constantly marking these little irregularities, like these little holes and edges and whatever it is. You're marking the things that are different, and then it's about fishing. At least then you're fishing something that has a very good chance of being productive when you're not just aimlessly casting. So that's what we're fixing to do. So this is all we really need to do, like 24, 25 miles an hour. Your 2D really still picks up really well in the Lowrance units, any unit really. Nothing right now, nothing. There we go. Now we're getting into some grass. See, strand. So that stuff we're gonna mark there. We went for a while, nothing. Good thick patch. It's pretty isolated, that's good too. Got some more stuff starting up here. This is really what you're looking for. You don't want that flat blanket. You want these big cavernous areas for these fish to hang and hide. So I'm gonna mark these, and then we just peel back and fish them. And like we said, sometimes it isn't this isolated stuff. Sometimes it's thick patches and we're looking for the breaks. Right now there wasn't a lot, so we're looking for what was actually there. I'll mark these up and we'll go fish this. Alright, so there's lots of ways. When we first find this grass, I don't really like to fish super slow because, you know, we're trying to cover a lot of water here and trying to be efficient. You know, we're running on pad to find our grass, and when I'm looking for them, I'm probably going to be using a moving bait. We're looking for a bigger group of fish that's more active. We don't need to be dragging around. Now when you find them, you're trying to catch everyone that's living there, then we can start dragging around and fishing slow. So We'll put the trolling motor down and try and hit this couple of isolated patches we found. First bait I'm going with is a 6-cents provoke jerk bait. I just like that, especially for hitting some isolated stuff and holy stuff. It's just a good, it's a good, effective bait, getting these fish to bite. Couple of other effective baits for covering water in this grass. When you finally mark your edges and holes and isolated patches, is a lipless bait. I prefer the 6-cents Quake or Snatch. Those are my two favorites, but there's tons of them out there. They all work. Or bladed jig. It's another great tool. Those are usually my three go-to baits out here when I'm trying to dissect these massive grass flats. So when I say I'm always winding, you know, you do have to let the conditions. I want to fish. I want to cover water and fish fast. I don't want to drag a worm through this whole thing. But if it is dead slick, today we got a little ripple, it's a little cloudy, we can throw a moving bait, a vibrating or a flashy bait like a jerk bait. You know, if it is dead slick and sunny, I'm probably gonna reel a swim bait or a swimming worm, but I'm always wanting to wind something while I'm still looking for them. Another thing out here, fishing this grass, always keep, like, I like listening to music sometimes when I fish, but when I'm out here fishing this offshore grass, I never do, because it's so important to keep your eyes and ears peeled all the time, because a lot of times these fish will give themselves away. They'll come up, a couple of them will bust a school and run over there, and a lot of times you'll find them. You'll see them doing that 200 yards away. So it's important to keep your eyes and ears peeled, pay attention, and be dialed into what's going on out here. A lot of times when I'm jerking some thicker grass, I'll put it on like 15 instead of 10 or 12. Keeps that bait up higher, and you can almost feel it when you're jerking it. You can just about feel when it's getting in some grass. You can give it a couple pops up like that and free it up. And it really is a pretty efficient bait and not getting bogged down like a trap wheel a lot. So I hit two pretty big clumps there and came back, snapped out really clean. That's one thing I really like about the 6-cents provoke around the grass, is how good it snaps and pops out of it. Got it all across her face. Freaking provoke to the dome. Come here. Oh yeah. Dude, that's when you know they want it, and they power drive it like that under the chin. Yeah. Good hooks on this sucker. Sticky. 6-cents provoke. Big ones, dude. This one came off that isolated patch. Pretty fish, man. Pretty fish. There she goes. Whew. That's what we come out here and ride around a lot looking. Sometimes it takes a lot of time. You'll fish maybe a day or two to find just a few good places, but that's what it's all about, dude. And a lot of times when you find them in places like that, they will be piled. And that's why this is one of my favorite things to do. It's more like hunting. So the most important thing to remember is it's not something you're going to go out and find in the first hour. You might find in these little sweet spots in the grass. It's going to be a lot about being persistent, putting your time in on your big engine, idling, running around, marking the edges. Remember, in the thick stuff, we're marking edges and holy stuff. Holes, caverns, and edges. In the sparser stuff, we're marking the bigger clumps. We want it's all about the different stuff in the mix. If there's not much there, they're gonna want the big clumps to hang around. If there's a ton of it there, they're gonna want the holes or the sparsier stuff inside the thick field. That's what it's about. And just put the time in, mark it all, and then go fish it. A lot of people just wanna, I know there's grass here, trolling motor down, fish. You're never gonna find the right stuff doing that. You might get lucky every now and then, but this is a way to be efficient and get it done.